In this video, I'm going to share with you the best side hustles that you can do remotely this year. So why should you start your side hustle? Now, this might ruffle some feathers, but you have been lied to. We have been led to believe that having a corporate job or a traditional 9-to-5 is the safest and best option in terms of career. And I'm not here to say that a corporate job, there's not a place for that in society. But what I am here to say is that 2020 and the pandemic showed us now more than ever that things can change instantly. And that means that there can be abrupt changes in our workplace that are going to affect us being able to provide for our family. And I'm not saying that that is the employer's fault. No, things change, but that meant ultimately that there were layoffs and things that kept people from being able to work, which was obviously really hard. So I think now more than ever, what I am here to say is it's important to have a backup option or maybe another income stream that could potentially support your family. So the first service that you could offer as a freelancer working from home is Pinterest management. Now, I am totally biased that Pinterest management is the best because I help people start and scale their freelance Pinterest management business even if they have no prior experience. So if you are somebody who is detail oriented, you enjoy working on a visual platform, you do have a creative side, you might love Pinterest management. And in terms of earning potential, you are probably going to be making anywhere from, on the lower side, $500 per package to upwards of $2,000 to $2,500 for one client, depending on the types of services you're offering. So some of the things I do as a Pinterest manager is I design pins, I schedule, I do some light copywriting. So I'm writing the pin descriptions, and that essentially explains where that pin is going to be linking to. I do report for my clients as well, and it's really fun. So like I said, I am totally biased. If you want to check out my Secret Pinterest Manager podcast, I will link that below. That's what I've been doing since 2019. So you can get the behind the scenes for how I built and scaled my Pinterest management business in that secret podcast below. Now, the second type of freelance service you could offer is virtual assisting. And that's actually how I got started. That's what I first offered in 2018. So if you have strong communication skills, you are highly organized, virtual assisting might be a great fit for you. So some of the tasks you're going to be completing as a virtual assistant, well, it could be a little bit of everything. And that's the beauty, but also sometimes one of the challenges of virtual assisting. So you could be doing email inbox management, you could be doing data entry, you could be doing some like graphic design, really whatever your client is wanting you to really take off of their plate, that's what you're going to be doing. You are typically going to be charging by hours. So anywhere from maybe $20 an hour to as much as $50 an hour. And typically because of your packages, since they are hourly, it depends on how many hours your client is needing or signing up for that is going to impact your packages. So it might be anywhere from maybe on the lower side, $350 a month to maybe as much as $2,000 a month, depending on, like I said, how many hours they're needing. Now, the third service that you could offer is social media management. So if you enjoy planning, posting, engaging, you'll be writing captions, all of these are tasks that you would be doing daily as a social media manager. So you're creating those carousel posts, creating the reels, maybe posting daily to stories, interacting in the inbox. It can also vary a little bit depending on what your client wants and needs. You're typically going to be charging anywhere from $500 a month as much as $2,000. I think some social media managers maybe even charge more than $2,000 a month. And so if this sounds like fun to you, then social media management might be a good fit. And so you're going to be doing this on platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. So if you enjoy working on those platforms, it could be a good fit for you. So the fourth service that you could offer would be content or copywriting. So some of the tasks you're going to be completing as a content or a copywriter would be maybe writing blog posts, website copy, email sequence copy, sales page copy, products descriptions / copy. So if you enjoy marketing, storytelling, that could be a really good fit for you. And a lot of times the pay is based off of project. So you might on the lower end, maybe you are making $100 depending on what the product or the project entails, or maybe as much as $2,000 or $2,500. I know that depending on the results, your reputation, maybe the portfolio you've built, some people will pay a lot of money, especially for copy that is so important. So not that all copy isn't important, but especially when people are trying to convert their audience, for example, like on a sales page or through an email sequence, that copy is so important. And so if you're an amazing copywriter, people will pay really good money for that. So that is another service that you could offer working from home as a freelancer. Now, the fifth service that you could offer from home would be graphic design. So if you're an artistic individual and it sounds like fun to you to create logos, PDFs, brand kits, maybe some website design elements, help with product design. Those are some of the tasks you're going to be creating from home as a graphic designer. I will say you're going to need to have proficient skills on platforms such as Canva, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. So that's something to keep in mind. And you're typically going to be charging anywhere from $300 a project to maybe as much as $3,000, depending on what you're doing. I do want to mention too, with graphic design, you have to take into consideration that there might be a good portion of your work that's also one-off projects, which means you are going to be consistently on the hunt for more clients as well. Now, the sixth service that you could offer working from home as a freelancer is online course or membership setup / really working as a tech VA. So if you enjoy problem solving, you enjoy creating systems, this might be a good fit for you. And people will pay really well for this service, anywhere I would say from $500 on the low end to as much as $3,000 or more, depending on how heavy or how large the task is and how involved it is. I will give an example in my business. I want to say I paid at least $2,000 when I migrated from MemberVault, which is where I hosted some of my courses, to Kajabi. I wanted to have a tech VA do all of that. So she did the design inside Canva, but like I said, she set up all of those systems and implemented all of that for me and really set up those courses for me inside Kajabi, so I didn't have to do that myself. So that is something that you could also offer from home. Now, the seventh freelance service that you could offer from home would be podcast management. So if you love all things audio, this might be a good fit for you. So some of the tasks you're going to be completing daily as a podcast manager would be listening to the episodes and editing them, writing the show notes, creating audiograms, uploading to the hosting platforms. These are all tasks that you're going to be completing as a podcast manager. And I would say you're going to be charging anywhere from, on the low end, $300 a month per client to as much as maybe $1,500 a month. So podcast management might be a good fit for you, like I said, if you love all things audio. Okay, so as we wrap up this episode, I want to give you a few helpful tips as somebody who has worked as a freelancer for over 7 years now. So tip number one, there are other types of freelance services you could offer apart from the 7 I mentioned in this episode. Now, the 7 I mentioned in this episode are all great options and ones that business owners consistently need, but just know if none of those sounded appealing to you, there are other opportunities as well. And the second thing I want to mention is that when you are getting started, you obviously probably have skills already, right? But you might not have the skill set needed for one of those freelance options I mentioned that you're really interested in. Don't let that intimidate you. There are a lot of different ways that you can obtain the skills you need to offer those services, but you might need to invest in some skills training. And I just want to say that don't be scared to invest in yourself and your education, because I have invested so many times over in learning additional skills so that I can really become a Pinterest expert. And I have not regretted any of those investments because it's truly helped me create this amazing business from home working part-time hours. So listen to that gut that tells you that a specific service might be a good fit for you. I am somebody who has offered multiple different types of freelance services at different points in time. I started as a virtual assistant, knew that that was really just a stepping stone, offered social media management, that wasn't a good fit. And then I finally listened to that gut that I had at the beginning, that gut instinct. It told me at the very beginning, but I didn't listen to it, pushed it aside, telling me that Pinterest would be a good fit. And it was, but I was a little intimidated because I just didn't have the skills I needed to offer that service just yet. So I am very much a believer in everything happens for a reason. So I won't say I would change anything about my journey, but just know that if there's an option that sounds interesting to you, but you don't have the skills, that doesn't mean that you can't learn those skills. Now, the third thing I want to mention is take into consideration the nature of the work. One thing that was really appealing to me about virtual assisting, social media management, and Pinterest management was I knew that all 3 of those services were really based off retainer, which meant that I wasn't going to constantly be on the hunt for new clients or starting every month at 0. And that was huge for me, especially when you're thinking about consistency and stability, especially if you're coming off of a job where you were just laid off or, felt like your future at that job was tumultuous. You want to have that comfort and peace of mind. And I didn't want to be starting every month at $0. That's also why I didn't create a digital product or look into physical products products or anything like that. I wanted to have this stable income, know that I had consistent clients. It's not to say that you can't lose clients as a freelancer, that happens too, but I was never without income once I got started as a freelancer, and that was huge. Now, the fourth thing I want to mention is take into consideration what your clients are going to need from you. As a social media manager, I had to do things at very specific times of day, and that wasn't always conducive to motherhood. It's the same thing with virtual assisting. I actually had one client who had me doing very strange things like answering calls all hours of the day for Airbnb. That's another story for another day, but Pinterest management was the best fit because my clients were very hands-off and the work was very compartmentalized, meaning that I could do it when it worked for me. And yes, there were certain tasks I had to complete as part of my contract, but I could do it when it was truly convenient for me. So that was huge when I was deciding on my services. As we wrap up here, I have two really helpful resources for you. One, if you are interested in just learning more about freelancing and getting started, building your business foundation, I'm going to share my affiliate link for the first freelance course I ever took. I am a huge fan of this course. Like I said, it got me started in 2018. It still is something that you can take in 2025. Highly recommend it. The next thing is my Secret Pinterest Manager podcast or my Pinterest Manager Academy if you are interested in starting your Pinterest management business. So I will link all of these resources below. My Secret podcast will give you 10 episodes free. The Academy is a coaching program, so that does involve an investment. So let me know what questions you have, and I hope to see you next week. Bye, friends.